Hello and welcome back. This is episode 31 of our Disco Elysium playthrough. We are on the island. Up here. I believe this is where we are. We believe that the shooter may have been on this island because Ruby said she didn't do it. We're not sure if Classy did it, but Classy left us a hint that it could have come from this island. There are also train trails off into the ocean. The train trails off into the ocean connecting the island to the supply depot on the coast. This leads to the depot on Land's End. The lieutenant looks at the mechanism overhead. Ah yes, so it seems. What do you think it was used for? For bringing munitions to the island maybe. And supplies. You could also lock the bay when you raise the chain. Has a defensive mechanism locking off that side of the bay. Alright. I feel like Kim's not super on board at the moment. Yeah, he seems a bit flat. I think after everything that went down with the shootout and everything like that, he's not feeling it. He's not feeling the disco. These tires are falling apart. They're at least 50 years old. Yeah, he lost his disco vibe, I think. We'll bring it back. So the kids, Liliana's twins said that there's a man who lives on the island. Or not lives on the island, is on the island. Attention, inflammable. Some fuel is leaked onto the barrel, black viscous. There's a lingering trace of mazout in the air. Four hours, 55 minutes. Yeah, so they said there's a man, but we're not sure who it is. He just doesn't like the fire. The barrel says ICM. You see a star with little specks in it. ICM. This feels similar somehow. Kim, what's ICM? Insulindian Citizens Militia. It's the official name of the Communard Army, the black and white army of the revolution. Sounds awful a lot like us. It does. Why? The RCM may descend from the ICM. May? It's impossible to say. He looks toward the darkened doorway. It was chaos after the war. The name was good for getting people to join us. Brevishore West was mostly workers and criminals. Rhetoric. Nice political thoughts rush your neocortex. Endurance. Fail. It's going to be hard to say them. Carrying around all that weight on a busted crutch is making you pant. Just catch your breath. He bows to inspect the... He bows to inspect the barrel. This is better preserved than the others. You can still read the sign. A white star? No, he looked at it. An upside down star. With its horns in the sky, the symbol of the commune. Are those specks stars too? No, that's the uninhabited archipelago. A DeLorean era symbol of Insulindi, known as the face in the sea. Looks old. What's it still doing here? After... He thinks, 44 years? There's not nearly enough to hide what happened here, Lieutenant Freuter. One of these barrels was still leaking fuel, as you saw. The city is full of things like this. Old bullets, guns, fuel. Alright, so we've got 2 level ups now. I don't know. What's low still? That'll be back up. Is our pain threshold down due to anything? No, it's just low. At high levels, pain threshold turns itself on serious unhealthy way with full-on self-destructive behavior. With low pain threshold, however, you'll suffer too easily, even a slap from a teenager. Let's get it. It's not very high, but it'll be good to up it a little bit. Especially with our busted leg. You recognize this little birch from the coin-operated viewer. Nowhere to get up there, the stairs are gone. We'll teleport again, like we did the last time. Here we go. Be careful not to fall, the cliff looks steep. Alright, we can't get down there, let's go through. So we think the killer might be here, but we're not sure. All the mercenaries are dead as well. I don't know how much you remember from the last one. They're all dead. Okay, what do we got? This was once an armament rest. Armament rest. Twin cannons were attached here. Medium distance, large caliber. Careful, these stairs have collapsed. It's fine. Microgrid generator. An old cylindrical generator is nested above the ammo lift, with makeshift electrical wiring running out of its side and across the floor. The cables disappear into the wall on your right. The lieutenant puts his hand on the metal barrel, checking for warmth. It's cold now, he concludes, but someone has been maintaining it. The wiring has been repaired. Where do these wires lead? He looks downstairs somewhere. What kind of generator is this? Liquid carbon, I would imagine. It takes mazout. He points to the open fuel cap on the side of the dynamo. The kind is favoured by vagrants and fuel thieves. It's been a long winter, long and cold. Rhetoric. If anyone stayed here, they need a generator. Tap on the side. A hollow ring. The canister is empty. Dust falls on the generator and down the ammo lift. What does it mean, a generator here? I don't know. I'm not a philosopher. I meant, why is it here? Someone with basic electrical skills has restored in order to keep the room warm. Maybe it's the fire guy. The wind outside picks up suddenly and a faint howl inside. It's warm. Okay. Alright, let's have a look. Book, mostly fantastic and historical fiction. Dishes stained with sauce and fire, a survivor's kitchen. Ooh, a nice shirt. And eye coordination. What's our current shirt got us? Logic. Where are we with everything? Logic's quite high. Let's up our hand-eye coordination, I think. With a nice shirt. We could interact with the bubble gum. I have a feeling it'll bring up memories of our wife. Let's deal with it later. Nice. Spring mattress. There's a greasy old spring mattress in the corner, resting on piles of soft cover books. White linen and pillows are visible under the worn old caracal blankets. Someone has been squatting here. The lieutenant inspects the bed. The linen is fresh, recently washed. How recently? Pain threshold, failure. A flash of pain interrupts you, making you wince instead of letting the words out. You know, officer, he looks at you with a touch of concern. You can rest here if you're feeling tired. I'll keep watch and you could use some rest for what's ahead. No time to rest. Yes, anytime if you need a rest later, it's okay by me. You don't have to be a hero. No, we're not going to rest. We upped our pain threshold. Books and magazines lie scattered on the floor in a makeshift cupboard. They're not particularly well organised. Most are soft covers, serialised fantastique, and detective stories from the 20s and 30s. This disparate digest includes the classic Animal Adventures. Encyclopedia. Popular depictions of man versus nature by amateur naturalists T and T Harpen, husband and wife, widely read by people of all walks of life. Who doesn't like nature? Who doesn't want to survive? Among the mostly commercial fiction and serialized stories, you find a magazine, Cathodic, for electrical engineering. Then it's back to pulp, light erotica, and international thrill about circuit benders. Someone's made themselves a home. Does anything stand out as unusual? No. Not that you can tell. There's a digest of someone who's dead bored. Most of it's for entertainment. Fitting right next to the radiola on the floor. Okay. You do feel there's something you're not getting here, though. Oh, well. The print in some of these is pretty small, though. This person has good eyesight. You see candles planted on a broken rangefinder. A moth-bitten bed sheets keep the wind out. No, that's fine. Money? Ooh, a scarf. True to empathy. I'll take it. I'm not going to wear it, but I will take it. Like everything else we've come across before now. More medicine. Money and medicine. Nice. Oh, hang on. The Great Blast door must weigh over 10 tons. Rust peels off it. You see a small metal door nestled inside a larger one, a heavy steel blast door. There is a conventional keyhole above the handle. It's very small. What's on the other side? Another part of the island, probably. The lieutenant looks into the keyhole. The lock looks like it could still be usable. How do we open this? He looks at the door and then at his bigger brother, then at the lock. Maybe this is one of those doors we don't open. He's right. It would be better to open its big brother. A powerful engine hangs up under the ceiling. It must control the blast door. You're right, we're opening the big one. No, this isn't one more door, we're opening it. Alright, the lieutenant knocks on the middle. I retract my statement. It was naive. Let's look around and get it open. How do we get it open? Have I overcommitted ourselves, Kim? Where are you walking to? Oh, you can walk down underneath. Okay. Green paint flakes off the monoblock aluminium cabinet. There are rows of switches on the front panel, a frequency band, and even a keyboard. Run your fingers across the keyboard. The keys rattle like teeth. The keyboard hasn't been functional in decades. What is it? The console of an antique computation device? The lieutenant points to the wires running into the machine. The generator upstairs with wires coming out. They terminate here. Could this open the blast door? Possibly. He inspects the dials. Urgent, avert, Allumer, radio fuse. It sounds like the device was used to control the electronics in here. Maybe it still does. The device was used to control the electronics in the room. It could open doors, control lights, function as a radio computer. Push. Light interior. Nothing happens. Slide radio dial. The dial slides under the glass silently. You make out defunct stations on the UKV frequency. The words Feld Insular are written on the band. An idea lights up in your head. Maybe we should contact Suna, the programmer lady. She could open the door for us remotely. The lieutenant inspects the indicator. This is an air-gapped system, off-air, I think they call it. That won't work. Are you sure? No, I'm not, but it would not be very good military technology if programmer ladies could control it remotely. Also, it's ancient, incompatible. Turn emergency open. Nothing happens. We need to restore power before using this, officer. The generator, it didn't look like there was fuel in it. Then he looks into the dim light to his right. We should look around outside. There are barrels all over. Maybe one of them still has something in it. The boat engine. Not in agreement. We're not going to take any out of our boat. Kim would not approve. The hatch is jammed shut. Water rushes below, far down below. More stuff. Jeez. We're rich. Rich and well moraled. A firing slit. You can't see inside. Look at all these clothes we've got. Tutor drama. We've already got a tie on. Find fuel, open the blast door, rest in the flak tower. Oh, so apparently that's something I have to do. It must have been a direct hit to take out such a large chunk. The distant sound of cargo ships. Signal horns echo on the water. The ice cracks under your feet. Be careful not to fall through. That's good advice. One injury is enough for today, thank you. The winch is broken and rust is eaten with the remains of the clutch. The depot that supplied this train is long gone from the coast. Alright, there's nothing over here. Can we get up here? The pain in your pelvis makes you wince, then you continue. At the inside of the fortress, you make out the console and the blast doors. A weathered artillery map showing coordinates of Bay of Revachol. An old medicine cabinet newly stocked with duramine. I'll take that all, thank you. Some fuel. Mattress nest. There's a rain-soaked mattress on a concrete slab, only half covered by the crumbling roof. At the head of it, double embrasures, firing slits like two eyes in the wall. B triple prime. Lieutenant lowers his voice, stepping closer to it with his hand on his gun. Looks like a good place to shoot. Inspect the mattress. A single-person mattress, modern, civilian use. Brand name Marjorie. There's fuel stain on the cover, along with cigarette burns, and an empty can of beans on the ground next to it, filled to the brim with cigarette butts. Pick one out of the can. The silhouette of a tobacco picker adorns the paper filter. The brand Tumultuary. Contemporary Revacholians prefer a Droning, a local brand from the southern island, or Astra, the legendary cigarette from Grad. Tumultuary is flavoured by older men for its paper filter tips, sweet smell, and added tar. I saw the same brand of cigarettes extinguished in Land's End. Could be a coincidence, or the same person has visited Land's End here. I didn't see any sign of smoking inside though. If people live here, they keep it tidy. This may also be a smoking spot. Inspect the wall. There's a firing slit in the wall in front of you, like a little window. Touch the concrete first. Quite old and grimy from years without cleaning by anything other than the rain. Look through the hole and concentrate. Oh, look through the hole in the concrete. The spring screeches as you lean on the mattress and crane your neck out to look. A small piece of Martinique's coastline opens up onto the square in front of you, like a tiny landscaping. 1 kilometre across the water. The ruins look familiar. On the left, a towering skyscraper, its top floor shaved off by artillery fire. Cape Side apartment, Rue de Saint Gisli 33A and 33B. On the right, the red chimney and collapsed back of a 4-storey tenement in front of the Whirling in Rags. Rue de Saint Gisli 10, the doomed commercial area. And between the two, the box-shaped silhouette of the Whirling in Rags. You see a small fleck of white on the rooftop, the upstairs window of Classy's room in the rain, reflecting the right. Motherfucker. What does that mean? Do you have a line of sight to the window? Yes, there's an opening between 33A and 10. I can see the roof. I can see it. Through the scope of a rifle, the shooter would be prone, lying on the mattress, barrel resting on the embrasure. Cheek against the cheek rest, hand in the hair trigger. On a calm day like this. Kim, I could make it. I could make this shot. Good. He pats you on the back, 3 small pats in a row. I think we have it, detective. The origin of the shot. This is the sniper's nest. Affirmative. Better late than never. He nods. Nothing pointed here. Many leads pointed elsewhere. You're right. He looks north over the fortifications, then at the mattress. Could the shooter still be here? Where? On this island. He does not answer, just nods. With his back hunched, he looks around once more and says, he feels uncomfortable suddenly. We should move, now. Well, Kim, if Kim's worried... I don't know how many bullets I've got left in this thing. Alright, Kim, just relax. I got my gun. Let's go back inside and see if that fuel works on the generator. Alright. I don't want to rest. Pour fuel into the tank. The lieutenant assists you, holding the canister up to the fuel tank as you tilt. Dark brown viscous fluid pours out of the room, filled with chemical smell. There's a red starter switch on the side of the cylinder and a start rope on the other side. Lieutenant flicks the switch. Pull the rope. The recoil starts, wakes the old generator. The machine sputters like an old warhorse before settling down to a rattle. Done. Alright, let's head back to the computer. A dim golden glow animates the console, faint like a ghost-like urgence avert reads on one dial key. Illumina reads another. It's on. Turn emergency open. Automatic boot. The blast door opens with a series of clicks. A shaft of light appears, then widens as the light shines in. Blast door opens with a series... Oh, sorry. A sudden wave of anxiety makes your skin crawl. After you, the lieutenant gestures. Let's go. I've got my gun out. Why would you ever need to do anything behind Lieutenant Hitsuragi's back? He's supported us this far. Our rubber dinghy is deflated, broken. Small white flowers blossom all around you. Are they the same bell flowers? The deserter. An old man wearing tracksuit trousers leans on the frame stock of his rifle. He gathers a big ball of spit in his mouth, then spits it out in the extinguished flame before him. He raises his black eyes, hooded by creased eyelids, and to meet yours. Unclouded by cataracts, his eyesight is sharp. Are you the fire guy?
Now? I can't hear you.
Did you recently tell two kids to put out their fire?
All sorts of little rats have come sniffing around trying to give up the position.
The position sounds like a hiding place.
Fire guy, regressive bourgeoisie henchman, can't even talk like a grown-up.
I'm with the police. You can keep your gun, but keep it down, not one move.
No.
Oh, Kim, relax.
Put it down now, sir.
Or you're going to blow my brains out before you question me. To hell with it. It's a walking stick anyway. It's out of bullets.
Pick up the gun lying in the sand. His gaze follows your motions. The rifle feels surprisingly light in your hand. Frame stocked and patched in places with tape and wire. Still warm from a parched hand, not the metal. The metal is ice cold. This weapon has been modified several times. Inspect it closer. The rifle's in shabby states, like a crutch that seems too much travel. Hieroglyphs are embossed into the forearm, made of walnut. On the butt, you see Vespertime writing, burnt into the wood. Triggers are on 4.46mm, made in Hinsong. This is a Trinagong made in Hinsong. No one said it has to be a Bell McGrave. The lieutenant does not make his eyes off the old man. We were just guessing. From ballistics, it could have easily been the Trinagong 2. It doesn't matter if it was made in Shinthin. All it has to do is use jacketed ammunition, and it does. It uses 4.46. That's right, the right caliber. The rifle has been patched and modified several times. I wonder how old it is. The old man does not answer. He just stares in front of him. Stow the gun. The old man keeps following your motions with his gaze. His left arm twitches suddenly. Some kind of involuntary response. Something is slightly off with his motorics. This looked very much like the murder weapon. It can be used against him to get a confession, in time. Who are you? My name, he looks around, across the water and back at you, is Isuf Ledonovich, Dross, political commissioner of the 114th Anti-Aircraft Division of the 4th Army of the Commune of Revachol. I am a deserter, a partisan, and a prisoner of war. This is my termless surrender. His eyes turn to the reeds again, dead and dull. The commune of Revachol. The lieutenant forgets to close his mouth. Do you mean the ICM? You're a holdover from the Insulindian Citizens Militia, the Army of Revolution. I was recruited in Jamrock in 07, trained in the École de Contre-Orient, and consigned to emergency defense duties in 08. I left my unit on the eve of the landing. When I returned here on May 14th, the commune had fallen, still armed and ideologically trained. I wrote a criticism of myself and resumed partisan duties. Logic 43. You've been on this island for 43 years? No. He looks into the fire. A wisp of smoke rises from somewhere between the charred logs. I've been on other islands too. I was on Resurrection until they turned it into a spa in 18, and I was on E48, a nameless sound, until the sea washed over it. Then I came back here. That was 22 years ago. You said you deserted to your unit? I was 16 years old, 15 when I was volunteered. I had a lapse of faith and courage too. Understood. Well done. I won't explain it to a minion of capital. How have you survived all this time? How does anyone survive? I steal. What do you steal? Supplies, vegetables. I collect rainwater. It's the life of a dog, not a human being. He coughs once more, then puts his hand on his belly. How is your health, Mr. Dross? I've been throwing up blood since winter, red like beetroot, but been passing it in stools too. He does not seem frail, gaunt for his age, seems more like 75 than 65. Trouble putting on weight could mean cancer. The RCM can provide medical services. You need to be looked over. I need to die. A droll smile stretches across his mouth. You don't have medical facilities, you have guns. That's all you give you, toy guns. We have painkillers. A light goes on in his eyes. He smacks his dry lips. I have been running out of that stuff. How have you coped mentally? I haven't. I have holes in my brain. Years missing, other fields with pain only. A decade of... I don't even know what. Inferno? You notice the lieutenant's about to say something. I would imagine it gets tremendously difficult mentally to live in isolation. Traitors, it's better alone. He nods towards Martinez. I watch the people of the city run the lights back on, more and more each year. Ruins glimmering in the dark like a fucking merry-go-round. It's disgusting. He looks down at his shoes, his face parched from the sun and the wind. There's a wince of pain in there somewhere. How have you concealed yourself all these years? It was hard in the 10s. I didn't have partisan training and they were searching for stragglers, those bloodhounds. He closed his eyes. Floodlights on water at night. There were posters, campaigns. We communards still hoped that they needed to snuff the hope out. The East capitulated, Martinez and Coal City were turned to dust. But Jamrock, Faubourg, even Coron, and Boogie Street, of course. Those fucking kips had Mazov coursing through their veins. And others too. Some cordons of Revachol were still fighting. There were cells. I tried to contact them. Soon they all went silent. The frequency's dead. How do you get between here and the mainland? At night I use a dinghy. He nods towards the deflated tire in the reeds. I only went after dark then. When I got into the city, I stayed underground. Patrols, you lot. The commons too. They start snitching. In the city you move underground? From bunker to bunker. Not anymore. No one cares now. I don't even have to hide. They think I'm another antisocial vagrant. I could walk straight into that town if I wanted. He falls silent, his gaze fixed on shacks huddled together. The weapons under the basement. He looks at you, then pulls out the raincoat tied around his neck. So you finally found it. There must have been a small squadron worth of arms in there. Bell McGrae's, right? They were damaged beyond use. I know. So you've been there. Sleeping. Some nights, ammo scrounging on others. Those Margraves were shit even before they corroded. Some had bullets in the chamber, however. You feel the dots connecting. Little dots on the map. He walks across. There's a bunker under a failed building. Have you stayed there? The propaganda bunker? I used to, but not anymore. Propaganda bunker? They stored leaflets there, broadcasting equipment too. Made broadcasts, I think, propaganda officer. I buried them with their leaflets. They killed themselves, 2 young boys. Killed themselves? A lot of our boys did. I spent some winters there. Never liked it. Kept thinking of them. He stares at the ruins of the failed building. No need to go underground anymore. It's better in the ruins on the ground. Do you smoke tamakama? I do. Ever smoke them on the mainland? They're good. Plenty of tar. I like the boy on the pack too. Reminds me of the last century. Tell me one other thing. You said this is your termless surrender. You're with the RCM. He waves in the general direction. The coalition appointed mob that enforces Burgo's morals in Revachol. Sorry. We're with the RCM. Let's leave it at that. Let's. He looks you in the eye. You represent the Moralist International, the enemies of humanity who took this city. I represent their adversary, le Parti Communiste de l'Insulindi. Take me to them as a prisoner of war. I have relinquished my weapon. I can no longer serve. No superiors can relieve my duty. You bulldoze them to a mass grave for trying to free humanity. His hands shake and breaks into a coughing fit. A spray of blood from his mouth on the black charcoal in the fire pit. Rhetoric. Rene, the royalist on the coast, said, the communards signed the revolution instrument of surrender. Liberal reactionaries signed that instrument. Traitors who should have been burned alive. I answered to the Communist Party. Is that part of why you've been here all this time? Because the party didn't surrender? He just wipes the blood from his chin. Understood. I don't think you did. You live in a delusion. Radio shows, speed racing and sporting goods. It's not real. You're a communist soldier from the Communist Army. No, I'm not a soldier. I'm an ideological officer. I belong to the party, not the army. But you said you were trained and signed to the Defense Corps. Trained, he nods, in historical materialism, then assigned a political commissar by the party. These things used to mean something. That means you're a trained communist, right? He nods. Another tremor. Say nothing. He looks away to the sea and lets out a cough. What is this place, the island? It's not an island, Droit. It's a defensive fortification of the commune of Revachol, and I'm its last survivor. I don't know what's going on with me tonight. I can barely talk. It's a defensive fortification of commune of Revachol, and I'm its last surviving defender. What's it used for? The congeniality to form King Philippe II built and restrict area bays of Revachol. We captured in '02, retrofitted the fort with an AA gun to defend against an airborne landing. Against the whole world. You mean the landing, retaking of Revachol? Coalition military called it Operation Deathblow. I later found out on the radio they called it Deathblow. You're one of them. Tell me, who speaks like that? We had 50 million people on Kula alone. First, I'm not one of them. Sure you are. You're RCM. Answer me. Who calls operation against 50 million people Deathblow? Tell me something else. No. Iblis calls it that. Iblis? The black-eyed angel. Alright. You've been here for 43 years? That's steadfast. It's not how a human being should live, but I had to. He grimaces. I just couldn't forget. I couldn't just forget what I saw. What have you been doing during all this time? Hiding, fishing, waiting. Shivers. Where the afternoon grows late, on Rue de Saint-Gussin, people walk home. Streetlights will soon be lit. Further inland, the streets are alive with workers, men, women, children, street hawks and migrant labourers. The temperature is steady. Outer cumulus clouds from above Precinct 41. Always waiting, the old man turns his eye from the shore back to you. For what? For her to return. Her who? Girl-child revolution. I've seen it. Capital is too powerful. The rich are very well organised. I've been there. This is the tinderbox. It may still happen. It won't. The material base for an uprising has eroded. The working class has betrayed mankind and themselves. The historic opportunity for revolution has passed. It will not come back anymore. However hard I try, whatever I do. I have another serious question. What have you been using this gun for? I've used it for killing people. Here we go. A trail of blood, Lieutenant smells it too. Killing people? It's a gun. That's what they're for. You want a moralist euphemism? Defending your family and your property. I haven't done that. I used it to kill people. Interesting. During or after the war? There is no after the war. Class war is never over. So he's continued killing after hostilities ended. Okay. Reaction speed. This is it. You can feel it, like battery acid on the tip of your tongue. Something you haven't felt in a while. But what? This is what you live for. This is the shit. Electrochemistry. The great serotonin jackpot. The solution. Rhetoric. Go in straight, no euphemisms. He doesn't like those. No, be careful now. Slow and steady does it. Make him repeat it first. Suggestion. Don't mess this up. Remember, he wants to tell you. Get personal. Which one do I say? Too many. Going straight, no use of isms. Did you use that gun to shoot and kill Colonel, the security contractor, Cronell? The who now? He leans in and cups his ears. He heard you, he just wants to hear you say it again. This is dramatic flair on his part. Right choice, we're in. Do it, sire. The corpse in ceramic armour hanging behind the fastest death squad who took a bullet in the mouth on the night of March 4th. His name was Ellis Courtier. He was part of a security detail here in Martinez. Oh yes, that one. Ugly piece of work, that boy. Did you kill him? Lieutenant takes a sudden step towards him. I am son of a welder and an officer of the commune of Revachol. He spits. I do not collaborate with murderers and pederasts of the liberal regime. Exhaust him with proof. Pile it on him. Get a confession. The gun, the murder weapon, is the perfect opener. Perception smell. The scent of blood in the air. But what else? There was something you can't remember. You're a communist. I talked to the dead man. He told me... tell me this. One more time. Composure. Should we level up our composure just to get a... I think so. 58. Nice. What strikes you about this gaunt man is not the stomach pain or the cough or the malnutrition. For a man who spent 44 years hidden in the urban wild, he's surprisingly okay. Indeed, he speaks fluid, his movements are rapid, if erratic. His voice, despite the cough, is there. It is capable of expressing complicated ideas. Above all else, he seems animated. Animated by what? It's a mystery. The animation comes from a cost too. Erratic hand gestures, thought processes cut off like threads, as he just stares at the logs or the reeds. He also suffers mood swings, bubbling to the surface, unconstrained by his nervous system. Dementia? You've seen demented people before. This feels similar, yet different. When his thoughts move, they are lucid, keen even, not senile. Mr. Jones, are you okay? How's your memory? He waves his hand, chasing something that's not there. No, I'm not okay. I shit blood and I'm surrounded by insane people. There it is again, erratic hand motions, bouts of rage, and the stomach thing, of course. We need to talk about you killing him. Pretty bogus law. This is all you care about, right? The only thing in the world that gives you types. A drop of blood in saliva. We've done the ballistics. The shot came from this island. I saw you poking around there and looking for evidence. You're damn diligent when it comes to dead faces that due to pass him. Did you like the view? You had direct visibility. There are embrasures in the concrete, specifically meant for top faller to use. And you had a long-range rifle in your possession. The lieutenant softens his voice. You've been here a long time, Mr. Dross. Too long. You clearly need medical aid. I'm ready to die, the man interrupts him. I've done my part. Rhetoric. He's practically admitting to it. Dead faces or fascists have done his part. Just one thing remains unclear. The rifle does not have a scope. Where's the scope? How did you make the shot without a scope? Forget about your stupid fucking scope. I don't know where it is. Find it yourself. It's your problem now. He lost it. He just doesn't know where it is. Forget it. Push on. Best under line side. You said fascist. You admit to killed him? You're sad for your Fasker brother, aren't you? One twig got broken, now the others are sad. He waves it. There are twitch. Then one more in his right eye. What am I forgetting? Wait, here it comes. The goddamn Maybells. Dried Maybells. Oh yes. There were Maybells in the grass when you got here. The revolutionary symbol for the war. There were Maybells behind the victim's window. Damn Maybells. He looks at the blossoming field behind you. The whole island is turning white with them. So many this year too. The spring is coming. No, it's already here. Wash the filth away. I haven't seen any flowers here anywhere else. A young woman called Classy. Ring any bells? Dried flowers were behind the window. Classy. He knows her, but hadn't heard her name. Yes, you hadn't heard her name, had you? My ears don't reach the city. You know her, right? She had intimate relations with the victim, the mercenary. With the victim, he turns his sights from the whitening field of flowers and falls silent. Then the muscles in his jaw twitch a spasm. There is a small tremble, looks like a smile. A crooked smile. It isn't quite voluntary. He's about to burst. Huh? Not a lot of guns around here use military-grade ammunition, are there? It's a real gun, not like your little musketeer pistols. I've seen you prance around with that, jumping hoops for the Liberals. You look like imbeciles. Why don't you ask them to give you a real weapon? He chortles, going against automatic rifles with these toy guns. Of course you got those boys killed. Damn, he saw you. He's watched it happen. He would have had a good view for the tribunal from here. It's not just empty boasting. So he saw you. So what? Don't let it divert you. Stop changing the subject. We have a murder weapon. You know what? The lieutenant looks at it with a weapon demonstrating... Ugh. My God, I think I've got to wrap this up. You know what? The lieutenant looks at it, the weapon, demonstratively. You're right. I'm convinced this made the shot. Should we call it? I'm calling it. We have the murder weapon. Good. Lieutenant takes out his notebook and draws a single line. This feels good, doesn't it? Tying things up like this, when you have the murder weapon, you have the killer. Murder? The old man does not say more. He just glances into the reeds and then twitches once more. He suddenly jerks to right. You know who he was, a coalition-trained murderer, armoured and armed. He wasn't human, the blunt end of a hammer. He was a rapist. I'm not saying he didn't deserve it. He was a killer, but he was still under the protection of the law. He was a soldier too. He was a man. Beating us to the ground, moaning with joy. You hounds got so thorough when you company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on the coast for 40 years, you know. Maybe I should have killed one sooner. Got your attention? He looks at you dead in the eyes, pupil shaking. Now you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now you come to investigate. Not when they die by the hundreds. He breathes, flared nostrils. Rhetoric. This is it. Shot him. Shot him. Say shot him, not killed him. So you shot him. Oh, the inhumanity. He closed his eyes. One parliamentary lesson, Revachol. You can almost see him squeeze a tear out of his eyes. His fists begin to tremble from the anger. The lieutenant raises his right arm to hush you. Esticor, hush. He does not need to be pushed anymore. The ball is rolling. While the lieutenant listens, holding his breath. Just nod. I had them in my sights, both of them. Him and the whore. I was breathing with them in phase, and I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth. He begins to smile. I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore. I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death and that stupid look on his face. And his dick still in her. Then what? Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning there were Maybells everywhere. The world was white, or what was left of it anyway. My last spring here. I knew the fascists would come to avenge their own. And so they did. The lieutenant looks at him for 1, maybe 2 seconds, then breaks the silence. Mr. Dross, are you aware you're confessing to murder? Yes. A single word is all he gives. The lieutenant takes out his notebook slowly, very slowly, and you were looking at them, the victim and a young woman having sex, through the scope of your rifle that night, before you shot him. The old man nods. Why? Because that's what they were doing. He shrugs, then smacks his lips. Logic. The motive. This is where the motive is going to come from. I don't understand. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part. Why were you looking at them at night? I'm always looking. He cocks his head to the side and he turns his eyes to the city. Another tremor passes his left side, lowering intensity. Are you always looking through the scope of a rifle? I'm just trying to understand. A rifle scope has the best magnification. And if you don't like it, click. You pull the trigger. Yes. He looks you in the eye. Think of it as a form of critique. You got him going. Connect every little piece now. Wrap this up like a gift. What specifically did you not like about what you saw? Them fucking. I didn't like it. So you were jealous? Jealousy is a reactionary concept. I didn't like the reaving enjoying himself, drugged out, soothed in the arms of a young woman. I wanted him to die so he could not enjoy life anymore. And I wanted her to see his head explode. That too. She should know better than to hold a child murderer between her thighs. I knew he'd be there for one more second, writhing. That's all it takes for the bullet to reach his head. Now that I think of it, I wasn't aiming for his mouth. I wanted his brains to spill out over her, but you can't have everything. The caliber of the bullet he uses does not do that kind of damage. How long have you been watching her? Since she came into Martinez, I saw her sneaking in the reeds early in the morning behind the Feld building. It was dark, still winter. She didn't have her skimpy outfit on then, just a spot in the night, moving. Past the Feld building on the coast, what was she doing there? Hiding something in the water. She had a fag after she'd done it. I was up in the ruins there. She couldn't see me, but I could see her, smoking. She was nervous, but not scared. What do you think she hid there? Her passport and tickets to Villa. And from there, cache a broom. In the Free State of Semini, hidden away at the edge of the earth, near the Pale. Some kind of hidden container on the coast. You looked into it. Yes, after she'd gone. It was a submersible. Well made, actually. Sloppy, we should have gotten her to tell us about this. Did you take the documents? No, I put them back. Why would I take them? I'm not going to phone. He seemed confused momentarily. Or I mean, moving on, did you continue watching her after this? I did. She had a face like an archipelago, with those birthmarks, and a body hard and lean and bruised all over, black and yellow. I could see she's taken a beating. I could see who she was too, a spook, on the run. Revachol's the cloaca of capital now. All the bagmen and arm dealers end up here. To do drugs, to have sex like animals. You could tell she was a spook from the documents. She had different colour hair on the photo and glasses. Forged, some sordid Bergenese affair, and I'd heard about this kind of thing on the radio. He's setting it up for you. The bruises, you can't make that out in a scope. And you could see her through the scope of a rifle? You can't see bruises in a scope, it's just a blur. How did you get close enough to see the bruises? I have my ways. What ways? Tell me. Not in this lifetime, Dryet. He weighs you off with a cough. This one's gone. Make up somehow. Connect something else. Fast. No, it's cool. I've already got him. I don't need to be perfect. No, it's not. Fix this now. Move on extra carefully. Be incredibly minute. Did you have feelings for the woman? There's nothing to hold on to. Only this. It's not enough. The coals of his eyes glisten suddenly, like stones dripping with water. Is he crying? Man needs to feel something else. In this fight, it helps if you have your eye on something there. It's weakness, I know. There have been others? Yes, over the years. It's not unproletarian to feel something. Was that why you left the dried flowers behind her window? No. He starts to shake his head again. Why then? I don't really know. I was there one night and she was crying like a child, in the corner of her room on the floor like she does sometimes. When was this? The day after I killed him. And you brought her Maybells? Yes. I don't know why I do the things I do anymore. You wanted to console her? Maybe. I told you I have holes in my brain now. I wouldn't just sit here waiting for you. A sudden pang of rage. If you came 10 years ago, I would have killed you. He wipes his eyes. In the silence, the lieutenant draws a line in his notes. One more down. So in conclusion, it wasn't about him, it was about her. Her. He repeats, staring at the ashes, then the reeds. There was a twitch in the corner of his eye. The lieutenant nods at you in acknowledgement. That's it, motive. We have it. The old man looked at you. Where is she? That classy. I haven't seen her for days. She got away, but she let us here first. She figured out someone was watching her from the sea fort. Gone. I knew it. She kept staring into the scope this last week. At the island, like she knew. She'd look at night, crying or smoking on the roof, staring right at me. It doesn't matter. Shivers. Midtown across the Bay of Revachol, the oceanic winds washes 40-story towers. Above them, Lausanne Central Aerodrome, a cocoon suspended in sky of web suspension wiring, encircled by hybrid aircraft. Look north. On the platform, a young woman is withdrawing from amphetamines, barbiturates, and alcohol. Yet still she smiles among the crowd, among the great ghosts of the city. She's leaving for another far south. Smaller, distant, hidden, not like the great chandelier she sees sparkling in the spring air below her. Streets and towers, tenements and water, and across it, a dark strip of ruins barely visible. If she didn't squint her eyes. Rhetoric. He knew she knows. She was looking at the island, figuring it out. Day by day, cigarette by cigarette. We could get more, Lieutenant. Uses the opportunity to tell you, in a lowered voice, we've got him talking. Who knows what he's seen and done over the years. Been looking at anything else you haven't liked? A tragic comedy? Druggies, prostitutes, retainers, or rentiers. A strange little engine seemed to fire up in again, strain his back. More specifically, the whole city is a charnel house, stripped clean and draped in neon. But Martinez is the worst. How come? Because of the racist. Everyone is a racist in Martinez. It's their favourite thing to do in the whole world, listening to race-themed radio shows in the ruins of their lorries. Pumped full of steroids and Radio Revachol 92. Race this, race that. It's all sanctioned by that Social Democrat union and the farce of a Social Democrat who runs it. Mr. Clare? Yes, the fly larva in his container, and let some nihilistic advertising yuppies erect a statue of Philippe III, a syphilitic murder on the town square to spit on the working class. Anything more? Not since the serfs and ancient Perkinassus has history produced a more inert social class than the Martinese proletariat. The rest of Revachol at least pretends to rebuild. These people still live in ruins. In tents, like animals, like those boom morons on the ice. A pity they didn't drown in the tent of theirs. Nod. The worst of them is the blood-drenched secretariat of her yacht, licking her lips. The old hall's gone now. Her gun-toting porcelain men are dead. So actually no. The worst is that old cock parading around in his uniform, throwing balls all day. It's not enough that the racists and liberals are dancing on our graves. The old loyalist ghouls still parade the ruins too. Every morning he's there, while the parasites he fought to protect are off Uzun or Kayat Moran or some other island they've built in their palaces on, feeding on drugs and having sex with their own children. That's all the rich really want, sex with their own children. Throughout history, even the royal bloodlines of Caesarine, it's all just excuse to have sordid sex. At least the old cunt Frizzle is now dead. Just nod. We did good when we pushed him under that horse car. If only in the 30s though, disco whores. What follows is ominous mumbling. You cannot make out a single word. The disco whores aren't too much. Hatred shuts down his brain language center, leaving only nonsensical sputters. You mentioned the Union Social Democrat and Mr. Clare's fast Social Democrat. Another hideous disappointment. Unions are the real enemy, a true enemy of the proletariat placating the masses. Rhetoric, disappointment, so personal. He displays a familiarity with Union's top brass. Who's a disappointment? Everett Clare? That deformed toad? I wouldn't expect him to wide his own ass. I mean the brains of the operation, the smart one. Edgar. You mean Everett's brother. The old man chortles with a nod. He talks a big game about uprising and social base. They must have sent a smart one to some university in Le Jardin, where it's alienation this and hegemony that. You've talked to Edgar? First against the wall with him. He stopped poking the ash now, just shakes his head. The Clare wouldn't miss a man hidden in their own backyard. Not all this time. Nothing happens in Martinez without them knowing. Of course, maybe the Clares asked him to. Mr. Burroughs, did you kill the Colonel Mercenary for the Clares to incite a riot? You know why I killed that fucking Dorite. As to Edgar, I'm not doing anything for that swine again. Again, what have you done for Edgar before? Tried teaching him some mezzanine social economics. They didn't stick. We parted ways. Okay, he didn't do the hangman for them, but he's insinuating something. The connection comes to you like a splash of cold water, dark cold water. 20 years ago, when you met Edgar, the Clares didn't run the Union, did they? Huh? He acknowledges it. Here we go, a twist behind the dark. Who did? That Borganese cow, Tiffane Holly was her name, licked the rich man's hand every time he came to town. Never seen a labourer leader so hot on the mutual cooperation. And money. She liked that too. That Holly was a real bridge builder for the deal makers. His eyes glisten suddenly with hatred. Half-light, bordering on sentimentality, drips out of him, tampered by something familiar to you, a familiar rage. She was also a woman, wasn't she? Like that classy. She was, and she was real soft on those money men. Had a Barbara Muscova bag over her shoulder that she liked to bring to work. And then she just disappeared. Called in, they say, on the eve of battle, ran away, vanished like piss stain. He squints and smiles at the backlogs. Logic, no, that's not quite it. Did she? They say her daughter called in, not her personally, but that wasn't really her daughter, was it? No, I guess it was not. You could swear you see the embers glow under his eyes in the dust. Edgar had someone make the call. Why is that, Mr. Dross? She couldn't make the call herself. Here it is. The bend in the river. Why? Because she was dead. Just say nothing. The cow caught a bullet in her right lung, fell into the canal grasping her tit, and drowned, or bled, hard to say. It was a sloppy job, and a moving target. She was going home, waddling, dressed in yellow, drunk like she often was. The ruins were black around her, and she had yellow leather. Bag under her arms, she tried across the canal. Heading home to the Grand Couronne Bechecourt, someplace like that, where they build those new batements for those people who flourish in hell around her, and those ruins. You shot her? Someone shot her. He shrugs, his eyes glazing. Or maybe the cow just fell. My memory's full of holes. All I know is another big spike of rage, different from the last one. Nothing changed, not in the material base, not in the hedge money. There was no uprising, just words. The Union fizzles sulked. Nothing came of it. Nothing. Edgar didn't keep his part of the deal. Huh. A sputter again. If you were to testify to this, give the RCM something on Edgar, you could walk. The lieutenant says in a voice even calmer. We would strike everything you've done and process you as a POW. You were in a war. You were on an assignment. We could even extradite you to Samarian People's Republic. A degenerate worker's state. Goat shit, no thank you. I'm Revsholian. My days are short. I will rot away here in Merlington's cell. I will testify to anything. But you did do it. I saw it happen and I liked it. That's all I have to say. I didn't live and fought for 40 years to end up in collaborationists. I've heard in Channel 8, 40 AM Radio Revachol late night. Everyone is a blubber in the world. Everyone betrays everyone. They're all already locked up for betrayal. The best one, the ones with heart, were slaughtered, trampled. Esther Call. There is plenty here to work with once he's in custody, and the lieutenant knows it. He gives you a little nod to proceed. I'm glad we talked about this now. You're under arrest. What? The old man's eyes filled with sudden, unexpected terror. But you said I would be taken to... The wind picks up, the silence on the water broken all around you. Little shivers of waves appear. Lieutenant continues, like an incantation. Your wayfarer rights have been suspended. Information provided to the officers on the scene will be used against you by the prosecution. You'll be given legal counsel within 1 week and must face court within 44 days. Do you understand? Do you understand? But, do you understand, sir? No, I don't want to. I have to stay here. He looks at the reeds, eyes submerged in growing terror. He's sweating. Beads are forming on his forehead. Your confirmation is not required, sir. Now onto the boat. Perception. We'll up that as well. $42. We'll up it again. We got heaps. 58. There it is again, to your north. It has been since you came onto the coast. The reeds whisper, stalks rubbing against each other. But then, in the middle of it, something completely different. It sounds like a bow, very slowly being drawn against the strings of a violin. A very small violin made of reeds and rustles. And then it's gone, drowned by Lieutenant's voice. Maybe there's room for 3 in the boats. Shush, Kim, do you hear that? What? What are you talking about? The old man's voice drowns in sun. Really us. Your skin crawls. What? Instantly phasmid. A delicate tangle of arms and legs unfolds from the reeds, limb by limb, and you stand there, moving scythe-like arms in ghostly silence. Blink. It's still there, an unfolding mechanism of reeds like chitin hovering in place. What is that? The old man looks at the reeds, then at you. What are you talking about? The giant stick insect. He looks confused. There's nothing there. The stick insect is over 3 meters tall, looks straight at you with its tiny pinprick eyes and grotesquely small head. You feel your legs shaking under you. I've finally gone insane. You feel Lieutenant Hand's on your back and then you hear him say 4 words. I can see it. Volition, thank God. If he can see it, then you're not insane. But that means it's really there, spinning slowly in absolute silence, its limbs long and slender. Be very, very careful, the lieutenant whispers, then takes a step towards the giant arthropod. Alright, we're wrapping it up there. It's a bit longer than I intended, but, and my voice, my ability to read was giving up on me, so, thank you very much for watching. Any advice for the series or for the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. Apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.